Okay, so just to let you guys know, hey everyone, we have a great show for you tonight. JD Glasscock, our mascot Lola.
Hello.
And then my co-host, the Invisible Man, Mark Potter. He would normally be having his video on. We have a couple of those tonight. But he didn't want to scare people at home. Earlier today, he had a massive dual-wielding lightsaber battle with 3 nuns from St. Mary's, and it didn't go well at all. Normally, he would have been able to take them all out, but the nun thing threw him off for a second, and he was damaged in multiple ways. So we'll just go with it and let him be the invisible voice in the background. This is episode 62. My co-host and the technological savant, Mark Potter, who makes all the magic happen. I'm just the guy that does reviews and books, authors. What'd you say, Mark?
I said, what's going on, everybody? Yeah.
And then, of course, Lola, our lovely mascot. Lola is at the venerable age of around 11, probably close to 12. She's my lovely kid. She even has a character inspired by her in my novel series, Lola the Night Raven. So it's good, right, Lola? But anyway, we have an awesome show for you tonight. It is the all harem author episode. So I found a couple of veteran, amazing harem authors, and it should be interesting night. Who do you want to bring in first, buddy?
Now let's go ahead and bring in Austin Beck.
All right, first up, veteran, talented lit harem author, and a very nice guy. Let's bring in Austin Beck.
There you go.
Austin Beck is another person whose video is having issues. Wait, is he here? Austin, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Mark gave you an interesting background. So 1 second, we're going to bring in our other guest, another veteran of the harem genre, Deacon Frost.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
All right, Deacon, where's your video? I need someone with video.
I mean, I can see Austin now.
I can see everybody, but
now, yay! Video, awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, I already shared it to my personal page on Facebook. Feel free to share it on your page if you want. Just make sure that the mute is on, otherwise we're going to hear ourselves.
Right.
You can share it from my page, or you can share it from the show page, the Stormcrow Dreamers Talking to Dreamers page, either one. But great having you guys. I was going to do this a couple months ago, but we ended up delaying it a bit. But it's very cool to have you both on. Mark, just pay attention to if we have any chit chats on. And hey, Mark, no, just because I can't see you, there's no getting on and playing Diablo 4 with your headphones on over here. All right, so
yeah, you won't. I'm not.
Don't be sneaky ninja, bro. Anyway, let's just get right into it. Austin, what is a book in the last couple of years you did, or a series that you did that you thought turned out great, and fans liked it, and you're just proud of it?
Oh gosh. Probably my current best-selling series is Barbarian Chef. I just released book.
So let's say that again. Barbarian what?
Barbarian Chef. CHEF.
So what's the obviously it's about a barbarian. So what's the overall theme of the series?
Well, what it's about is it's a isekai. I would call it a light novel, harem fantasy light novel. The main character, Chad, is an otaku. He is basically he's down on his luck. He works at as like a telemarketer. He lives with his parents, and he plays MMOs all the time. Something happens, and he gets sucked into the world. It's not a game world, but it's actually the world.
So it's a Portal series.
Right, Isekai Portal series. He gets there. He is awarded Barbarian, the class Barbarian, but the the big thing with that is he's lucky enough he's rewarded S rank, so he's like super OP. You'll if you read any of my books, it's like all of my characters are like OP, but he's OP Barbarian.
I mean, a lot of LitRPG follow
Yeah.
that thing. Like Primal Hunter gets the whole bloodline right in the beginning.
Right.
He Who Fights with Monsters, like it's that where he's teleported in the same space as some super powerful monster, and one of them's got to die, so he ends up getting a boost.
Right.
But
And then I'm assuming because it's harem, he meets some chicks.
Right. But but the basic is the main character is when he played the video game, he wasn't interested in combat. He liked crafting and doing that kind of stuff that other players would find dull. So when he gets to this new world, he has these amazing combat skills, but he's not interested in using those. He just wants
Well, that's an interesting flip. So it's a guy that actually he played MMOs, but didn't like combat. He liked crafting, but then he gets sucked into this world and becomes a melee-focused barbarian.
Right. He's a barbarian, but chooses to become a chef at a restaurant. And that's what he wants to focus on. But being as powerful as he is, different people need help. And due to his skills, he gets kind of sucked into it because he's like a nice guy, so he wants to help.
But he really wants to focus on being a chef.
Right. And he gathers women like his waitresses, and I think by book 3 he's got 6 harem members, I think, by then. But that's basically.
You tell me all 6 are his waitresses.
No, there's he's got, let's see, 3 of them are waitresses. He has like a hunter, a huntress, and then he's got a succubus. So he's got
so it's kind of like he just kind of falls into these battles. Like he wants to just focus on his restaurant, but people just keep needing help.
Yeah, like for instance, in book 1, he has this restaurant, but there's a gang that extorts people in the little town that he's in. So he takes it upon himself because he has the skills to eradicate this gang. But he prefers to do his cooking, and like he even caters like a birthday party for a little girl. I mean, it's like really slice of life stuff that he enjoys doing rather than.
So what's is the predominant of this series slice of life with combat?
Right. It's mainly slice of life, but there are action sequences. In order to make money, there's a local dungeon called Stone Rock Dungeon outside of town where adventurers go to. They farm that dungeon, they get loot. Well, he can do it easily, so he will do dungeon carries and take people through.
Power leveling people?
Right, for like extra money. So he's got tons of money because he can easily power level people. But he turns that money back into his restaurant.
Very cool, man. It sounds like an interesting series. The only 2, I think, no, 3. I've read 3 harem series. One was the Alpha Company. Is that what it is? Another is one that was all about drow. I forget the name of it. And then the other one was Making Supers, which was about
Dante, I think, yeah.
Dante King, yes. Those are about the only three that I've read. It's just not my natural proclivity to read them, but they're well written and good stories, so I will read them. And I think Making Supers isn't it's very, very, very light game lit. It's not really lit RPG. I don't think. Kind of.
Alpha Company. Are you thinking of Alpha World by Daniel Shinhoffen?
Yes.
Okay, because they formed a guild, Alpha Company.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I read that series as well. But very, very cool. So Deacon, same to you. In the last couple of years, what have you written that you thought was cool and exciting and it came off pretty well?
Well, I actually only started about 2 years ago now. But probably the biggest series for me is Otherworld Academy. It started with Raven House. And
is this kind of a harem spin-off of Harry Potter?
A little bit. It's kind of a steampunk Harry Potter with a lot of anime tropes worked in.
I do notice that a lot of LitRPG, a lot of harem authors use a lot of anime covers.
Well,
yes.
I think part of it is that. Go ahead, Austin.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just said that I've used several anime covers.
I would.
Oh.
Hello.
We lost the host.
What happened there? Hey, stay tuned, guys. This is Mark. What happened there?
You got kicked out. I don't know.
Were you trying to play Diablo 4, bro? Against
No, I'm sitting here like taking in everything.
Well, your signal bars have been going way down, JD. Like I've been watching them in the corner of my eye, like this whole time.
Right now?
You're on my screen. It's got your name and then the signal bars showing your signal strength, and yours has been Xing out like over and over again while we've been talking.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you fine.
I hear you. It's just your internet may not be strong or something.
I mean,
you know what? It's because here I'll pause it. You know, it might be. Well, no, I think a majority of it is that, like I told you, Mark hosts this, and in the part of Texas he's in, they just had a heavy storm.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's having issues.
Yeah, I saw the tornado warnings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Texas as well, but I'm in like North Dallas area, Denton, and Mark is where like coyotes and raccoons have ribald love affairs. So
you were asking about anime.
Yeah, well, I was just saying I've noticed it and it's not just harem. There's quite a few lit RPGs that have anime.
I think
covers, but I would say harem, it's almost exclusively anime covers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think for harem at least, it's because a lot of anime uses fan service, but the main characters don't really usually consummate any of the relationships. So you get a lot of series with very attractive women, and then just nothing really spicy happens. And I think a lot of harem writers look at that, get annoyed, and go, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And they're going to actually commit this time. So it's not just going to be an entire season of teasing.
I don't really watch anime because I've always been, even when I was a kid, I've always been more about, I love animation, but I've always been more about realistic animation as opposed to the more cartoony type stuff. Even MMOs, I've played MMOs since I was a kid, and I would usually veer away if I started playing an MMO and it was all oversized swords and like cartoony looking. I think the only thing I ever played that was a little bit cartoony looking that I thought was cool just because of the story was so good was probably WildStar. Just because it was funny and it was so quirky with the classes and stuff like that it was interesting to me. But otherwise, a lot of the Korean MMOs and Asian MMOs I don't usually play because the visual, even Final Fantasy, I'd never really got into because of the over animated, like cartoony look. But no, it's very cool. I just thought it was interesting, but it's interesting to hear where you're saying it's from. It's from the sexy anime that's super popular, like TV, like anime series and stuff?
I mean, I think there's influences there. I'm not going to say that's like all of it, but it's also you just get a lot of those artists who are willing to draw spicier covers. Because I've gone to guys who only draw like fantasy and sci-fi covers, and you're like, can you do an attractive lady in this style? And they'll be like, I don't draw things like that. And like some of them,
Yeah, I don't know what my artist would do, because I love my artist, but he's more like realism, and I've never really asked him to specifically make a girl sexy, although there are girls on my covers. But I don't know whether he would or not. But he's great though, because he's only like $30 for an ebook cover that he gives back within 2 days and endless revisions.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you pay another, I think, 25 or so to get the print.
Yeah, harem is that you got to have a attractive woman, usually scantily clad, on the cover.
I'm assuming, yeah, that's your marketing draw.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of guys who can get away with putting pretty much whatever they want on the cover when they get big enough. But yeah, for the most part, if you're
I can never say his last name. Shin
yeah, he honestly, I think
nice guy. He has a quirky sense, a very dry sense of humor. But yeah,
yeah, his one of his trademarks is the fact that he doesn't really have sexy covers. Like that is
no, he has more traditional kind of fantasy covers.
Yeah, his covers,
but his stuff. I only read the alpha one, but his stuff was not a lot always fade to black, but a lot of fade to black.
He I talked about it in another live stream at one point. Actually, Austin was there too. I believe his mentality is he focuses on the romance above all. So like
he was very much about love and all that kind of stuff.
The first important consummation he'll write out, and then just everyday encounters after that he just fades, and he'll give you some implications of what happened, but since he's more about the romance and the connection between them, he's not going to write out every single time that they have sex.
Yeah, which is funny because we were talking about this earlier. I write grim dark LitRPG.
Apocalypse Gates. Now, Apocalypse Gates is very explicit, but
is that him? Daniel? Is that another Daniel series?
Yeah, Apocalypse Gates is a Schoenhofen series. Yeah.
So I write explicitly, like, but it's just sex is not a main theme of my books. You know what I mean? So it's here and there, but when I do put it in, I do get explicit with it, just because I think that's real life, man. I mean, like,
well, and that's traditional too. Some of the biggest authors in sci-fi and stuff, like Arthur C. Clarke, used to get downright.
Hey, dude, White Gold Wielder, man. I tried to read that when I was like 12, and it like gave me nightmares. The whole leper, white gold leper, and then one of the first scenes is him with like a hooker.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name from one of the books he did. These guys were looking for something at the bottom of the ocean. Aliens had planted a superstructure somewhere. But all I remember is there was one character who designed video games, and he was literally designing a sex game. And like
I remember like my father when I was like 7, because he didn't want to pay for a babysitter. He made me go watch Saturn 3 with him, which had Farrah Fawcett and Michael Ironside, I think. And then literally she's butt naked in it. I'm like 8 years old. And then the robot ends up walking around with the head of Michael Ironside that he had ripped off sitting on top of his head.
Yeah, like
I was like, I remember I had like I didn't know what was more traumatizing for me, the robot with the head or Farrah Fawcett's tits.
Yeah, I mean, 70s to 90s, it wasn't really uncommon to get explicit sex in.
Yeah, that was I think 70s, but yeah, that was like the late 70s, but yeah. And 70s and early 80s, it was like pretty much any rated R film almost required that there be bare breasts somewhere.
Well, yeah, even the PG-13, they'd like have a poster when some guys like running through a locker room. You just see like a nude magazine just hanging on the wall and stuff.
Yeah, I grew up with the Animal House and Revenge of the Nerds and all of those films, dude. So was it what was the other one? The Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And stuff like that, and all those films. I don't even know if those films could get made nowadays.
Not at the ratings they are.
Yeah. But anyway, hey, so explain a little bit more about your series.
Yeah, Raven House.
As I told you, we got off on a tangent.
Yeah. So in Raven House, you got average guy. He's a college student named Levi. He has a bad encounter with his roommate, and he's heading down to the registrar's office to talk to housing because he wants a new dorm room. It's raining. He gets hit by a truck, wakes up, and gets told, "Congratulations, you get to go to a magical academy." And he's just kind of like, "What?" And he actually
there was a. You know what? There was a VN that came out in the last couple of years, a year and a half, maybe a year, that had this concept. Or was it a VN? I think because I remember hearing where magical trucks would hit people, but it's not.
Oh, yeah. That's really common in Isekai.
It's
Truck Coon.
Truck Coon.
Oh,
yes.
really? That's a concept?
Yeah, in fact, there's actually manga written about Truck Coon.
Yeah.
Where like the main character is the truck going around killing people and sending them to other worlds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn I just saw that somewhere. It was either VN or a.
That's one of the really popular anime tropes that I totally stole.
Yeah.
But Levi gets sorted into one of the smaller houses that is known for being more clever than good at anything.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, his world starts going a little bit sideways when he finds out that he's what they call a demon lord. Because he came from Earth, which doesn't have magic, which kind of meant more got sucked into him when he was being reincarnated. But he doesn't really have a clue what he's doing. So there's interdimensional horrors. There's
so is this LitRPG as well, or just hair?
No. Well, there's no stats. There's no real game effect aside from the teachers can send students messages on their house tattoo.
So just maybe a little gamelit? Is that what it is?
I wouldn't even really call it gamelit. I would say it's
more just straight harem, fantasy harem.
I would say it's portal fantasy, even progression fantasy, because he definitely starts off like at the bottom because he knows nothing about magic or magical society, and he's got
a progression.
Yeah, so it's progression. He's got raw power.
But it's not cultivation, right? It's more progression.
No. I mean, there are elements that I kind of swiped from cultivation in just some of the visualization of the magic systems, but no, it's just progression harem.
Very cool. And then basically, how many books are you in on this series?
I have just sent book 5 to my editor, and there's going to be at least one, possibly more books.
See, it's weird. Some people like. I find this interesting because this is now our Mark. How many episodes have we done with LitRPG authors? And you better not be playing Diablo 4. Maybe like 9, 10?
I would have to look, but maybe 9 or 10, yeah.
And so we've talked about this and gone into this concept several times, all the way from the tropes in the different parts, whether it be Portal or VR, or there's certain tropes about it. But wow, I don't know. I just totally lost my tangent. I was totally going somewhere with that. What were you just saying? Because that's what kicked me off on the tangent.
I was saying that I just sent book 5 to the editor, and there's at least one, maybe more books.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Okay, so some people go into series knowing how many books they're going to write, and other people just kind of go from the hip. And
yeah, I'm
like, it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 8, it could be.
I'm very much a monster. I generally just kind of start with a general concept of what I want to do, and I see how the story develops. I had originally intended to just do 5 books because my first series was 5 and done. And I was like, that's a solid amount because you can get more world building than you get in a trilogy, but it's not like going on forever. And then I started writing book 4 for this series, Empire's Run. And I realized that I was going to be nowhere near a conclusion at the end of book 4. Book 4 ended up being kind of the very much the.
Or you could be like Defiance, where he's like 9 books in, and the guy's still only like D grade or whatever it is, dude. I've heard people say, like, dude, by the time this guy gets to like S grade, it's gonna be like like
I had
30 books.
I had some fans pretty mad at me at book 4 because in book 4 it's very much kind of like the bad guys are winning. So book 5 is kind of the comeback book. So I'm hoping, some people will forgive me.
Yeah, but you got to have dynamics like that, whether it be people, important people die, or I don't know if you need to go to George R.R. Martin category where literally every time you like a character, he slaughters him. But
yeah, it's just harem audiences are very committed to the power fantasy. So they're not always.
I find that true, though, in all of LitRPG, really.
Yeah, they're just not always happy with the idea of setbacks. And I don't really write... there's nothing wrong with writing OP characters. It's just not my style. I
don't know, dude. There's always someone that's going to hate something, bro.
Yeah,
I've seen people bitch about characters not being OP, and I've seen people bitch about people being too OP. So, I don't know. There's never going to be you're going to make everyone happy type thing.
Yeah, so since I tend to go for the underdog to start, I've had some people not too happy with the fact that my characters get knocked around a bit, especially in the earlier books.
Yeah, but I'm assuming they learn from it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the characters. It's the question of whether the fans are going to keep going to see that.
Yeah, I mean I've read all sorts of series. You have stuff like Primal Hunter where he kicks the shit out of almost everything. And then, but even he loses periodically, and then you have other ones where they're struggling in the beginning. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, like in my first series, Accidental Incubus, he starts off literally level 3 with no class, as a blacksmith's apprentice. And so book 1 is him finding a class, learning how to properly level once he gets transformed into a demon. And that is very much at the end of the series, he's a god. He's literally creating his own universe.
Do you guys ever have problems trying to keep up on reading, man? Because there's so many authors out there and so many books out there. I would love to read everyone's books, but I literally... And I read fast, dude. I read 2 or 3 books a week, and I still can't. I can't read every book, man. I literally.
Yeah, there's just too many books out there. I also get into moods where I'll have a series I really like, and I just won't be in the mood to read that specific tone. So I'll sit there flipping through my to be read pile, looking for the weirdest tone, just to have something completely different to reboot my brain.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this, and I'd like to bring it up to both authors. We talked about this before. I think it was before Austin came on. So we were talking about how as soon as I finish this book 5 I'm about to start a new series. But I was saying the main reason was I needed to take a break from writing the same. After 5 books of the same characters, I needed to take a breather from that story and do something different. Do you guys both find that happens?
Yeah, I can't write the same series back to back. I wish I could. Financially, that's probably the best way to do it. But once I finish a book, I will usually work on one of my other series, then finish that book, and then go back.
Which is what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to write book 1 of this new series, then go back and write book 6 of the original series.
Right.
And then flip.
Some authors, I know Deacon, he's doing that Raven House or Otherworld Academy. Is that what it's called?
That's the series, yeah.
Yeah. He's writing those, back to back, and I respect that. I wish I could do that, but once I finish a book, I kind of need a break, and I'll go, like, if it's a real actiony book I'm writing, I'll go write, a more laid back slice of life, and then switch back to the one I was working on.
Go ahead, Deacon.
I actually don't have I wish I had better discipline for publication, like what I'm focusing my energy on, but sometimes my brain will just go off on a tangent. Like, I was trying to get the whole Avalar series done before I started anything new. And then the idea for Ravenhouse randomly popped into my head.
Yeah, but I think that just happens, man. I was trying to get the whole 9-book series done, but after now, I'm almost a couple weeks away from being book 5, and I'm like, man, my brain has got to take a break from these same characters and story, man. I'm like, getting fried trying to write over and over again all about them.
Like, I try to figure out what I'm going to write next, but sometimes the inspiration just won't go away for something else. And if I don't
you get excited about the new one.
Yeah, and if I don't write it for a while, then I can't concentrate on anything. Like, when I did Avalar Explored, I kept getting ideas for a dungeon core popped into my head, which is when I ended up putting out Fall to the Forest in between book 2 and 3 for Avalar Explored. And then when I was trying to finish Avalar Explored, Ravenhouse popped up, and that one took off. So it was kind of like, okay, I guess.
Maybe talk to Mark, because when I feel this, sometimes he'll send a video of him doing his lightsaber acrobatics in a yellow summer dress, and for some reason, it just literally calms my mind. It disturbs me in certain ways, but in other ways, it just calms my mind.
I'll have to try that.
See, Mark, I'm getting you fans, man.
See now, then you put that in the harem novel.
I'm a team player, buddy. I'm a giver.
I don't know. If I put that in a harem novel, there's a pretty good chance I'll stop reading it. I mean, unless I make you a really pretty lady.
But no. Very, very cool. So I'm going to flip back to Austin. Austin, what is something you are currently working on that you're amped about?
Well, funny thing, I'll go and have complete, epiphanies. I mean, different ideas I want to do. Like last week, I came up with 5 different ideas of things that I really want to do.
You got to be careful though, man, because there's I think some guy I just read recently. It was the first time me reading him, and I enjoyed his book, but then I went on and looked on his author page.
Yeah.
And he literally had 7 different series, none of which were done. And I was like, bro, you have to get a lot of shit energy from fans of yours, dude, because they're having to wait however long to get the next book of a series they like.
Yeah, but it's one of those that I'm working on. It's called There's a Cat Girl in My Cubicle.
There's a cat girl in my cubicle.
Right, and it is a slice of life. I call it a slice of life office harem. It's very light novel-y, anime show type thing. It's an isekai, and it's been pretty fun. I've been tossing it chapter by chapter up on Scribble Hub, that website. I'll usually put stuff there once in a while to kind of see what people think and if I'm headed in the right direction. And then when I'm done, I'll take it off the Scribble Hub and put it on Amazon. But that one's been pretty fun.
Kind of like how I use Royal Road, or how a lot of people use Royal Road.
Yeah, Royal Road. I have used Royal Road. I've got another pen, Jackson Winston, that does just pure LitRPG, and I used that for the book I just did for that pen name. But
doesn't that get hard though, trying to hold all these different series and actually finish any of them?
Yeah, yeah, I know I've got Reborn into the Fire Mage is finished. Mixed Martial Cultivator is finished. Barbarian Chef. I think I'm going to
How long have you done this, by the way?
I started 2019.
So
But
3 years.
yeah. Some of the books I've done, the series will not be finished just basically for financial reasons. You know, I do a book as long as I can, but if it stops making money, I don't, yeah, I don't finish it. It's got to make money for me to do it. But,
See, I'm of mixed opinion about that because I get that if it's not making money, maybe wrap it up. If it was a 5-book series and there's only 2 books out, then maybe do one last book, a third book, and somehow wrap it up. But I think I would feel guilty for just leaving series hanging out there for the few fans that did like it. You know what I mean? Because Vidrar does that, which is also the same guy that does, what is it called? The Great Game, or it's same author, different author name. The Grand Game, is that what it is? I'm trying to. But he has two different author names. Both are straight LitRPG, so it's not for your guys. I understand when you guys do it because you have harem under one and you have straight LitRPG. So when harem authors do it, I kind of get it. But this guy actually has both authors write straight LitRPG, but he has 2 different authors' names. But I think maybe this is the reason he did it. All of his books under Vidrar, none of them are done, and he hasn't written any on any of them for a while. And he went and made a new author name, which seems to be the Active series. So I'm thinking that's why he did it, because he stopped writing any of those and didn't want to get the flack for it, so he went and created a new author name.
Yeah, I've heard people doing that.
Yeah. I've got 3 author names, but Austin Beck is the pen that I enjoy doing the most, and it's the most lucrative.
Hey, you know what? My thing is I've spent my whole life with Glasscock, dude. So I just went with it. You know what I mean? Like, plus I do the whole film thing, and I have like a video game coming out and all that kind of shit. So to me, it's better to create one brand,
right?
But I still think Marcus, if you notice, I go a lot with my therapy. I go towards Mark, whether it be Yellow Summer Dress videos or other things. And he's been trying to convince me to change my name, something more like Warcock or Battlecock. But
I did not. I did not.
Yeah, I
wasn't feeling so fragile.
I don't know, man. Maybe go for Iron Phallus. That way, you're keeping the vibe, but you're showing you're strong.
Or what was that? Pussy Willow. JD Pussy Willow. That'd be good. Or I always threaten. I think the last girlfriend I had a long time ago, I would always fuck with her saying, if we ever have a daughter, I'm going to name her Pussy Willow.
Pussy Willow Glasscock would definitely end up.
Yeah, I just figured they would balance each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the future and what you guys have plans going down the road. Okay. We'll also talk about your guys' thoughts on the harem genre in general and the future of harem. And then also, as soon as we come off break, I want to get each of you to tell me a film you've watched in the last year that you enjoyed.
Okay.
So don't disconnect, you guys. He's going to throw that show thing back up, and that'll show 5 minutes, and it'll count down. And then we'll be back. For you guys that have been watching, amazing guests, very talented guests. Mark will have in the description links to their books. So feel free, if you want to go support them, go follow those links to the books. I'm sure at those links, they probably have Patreons and all that kind of stuff. But you've been watching Stormcrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers, JD, Mark, Austin, and Deacon, and then, of course, Lola. We will be back in 5 minutes. Mark,
Yes,
Hello.
are you there and not playing Diablo?
I'm not on Diablo.
I don't know if I believe that. Anyway, you
My-
guys,
my-
welcome
My
back.
internet couldn't handle it.
Well, I wanted to finish something that we didn't quite finish. Deacon, so current project you're working on, what is it? We got lost on a tangent.
Oh, well, current project I'm working on is actually a sci-fi.
Gotcha.
It
Is
is
it anything game lit? Is it standard sci-fi, game lit?
no, it's gonna be light game lit. It's a tower climber series, so I'm not sure how deep I'm gonna develop the actual like system, but there's
It's a pain in the ass, dude. Systems are a pain in the ass, bro.
Yeah, so there's
They
gonna
are.
be light stuff, but I'm working it more as an everybody is kind of evolving uniquely.
Yeah, keeping track of stats and levels and all that shit is like
Yeah, so it's going to be like the main character can see how he's growing, but it's not going to be a unified system that'll let him just automatically look at somebody else and be like, well, I have 10 levels on you. You are toast. Like that's not going to be how it works.
Yeah, in my new one, I'm going to try to do something slightly different, although it still has stats. But when you're writing LitRPG, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's so funny though, because I've seen commentary from LitRPG fans that go both ways. They like the crunchy, and then other times I've seen people say they like really light stats. But for it to be LitRPG, you kind of have to have stats.
Yeah, but I think you tend to get a lot of the people who are really big into audiobooks.
Yeah, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, they end up hating the crunch because you can skim a character sheet and flip the page without an issue. But
yeah, like, I don't listen to audio, so it's
when you're got one guy just reciting every line in a table.
Yeah, I can see how, especially if you're like say you go over 4 characters in a row.
Yeah.
Of all their stats.
Yeah.
Or if we're talking Randiddly Ghost Town. Which is like endless. It's like 8 pages to cover his character sheet.
Yeah, I had
all the skills, but
I had a friend who just put out a LitRPG book, his first book, and at one point, one of his character sheets ended up being like 4.5 pages long. Like as you're flipping through the book.
So, yeah, it's because of skills. I mean, like literally, usually it's because of skills, and I try to keep the skills poignant. Like like I like Randiddly Ghost Town, but then when it's like literally everything they do is a skill.
Yeah, and
talking, running.
Yep.
Like,
and
dude, it's like
is literally called skillful. So I mean, like the entire point is that the character is like OP and can learn every skill.
Yeah.
So that's
hey, Kaylin. Kaylin joined us. Do you guys know Kaylin? He's probably the youngest LitRPG author out there. I think he already has maybe 3 or 4 books, and he's like under 18.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the name. I haven't read any of his stuff. Yeah.
Hey, just kudos. When I was his age, I was just worried about getting drunk and flirting with chicks. So, that's 5. But anyway, very cool though, man. So it's a Tower series sci-fi, and are you in the middle of book 1? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I've only gotten like 15,000 words in on book 1.
What's your average word count, you guys? Because mine are pretty. I come from a background of writing screenplays, which are 120 pages. So literally, when I got into novels, the most I could do is about 60K, 70K before I have to like call that a book and move it.
I got some advice early on saying aim for 100,000 words because that's about 10 hours on audiobook, so Audible will pay you extra.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of just where I ended up settling, going, all right, that's I guess about how far I'll go.
My books are usually between 60 and 70. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Austin. So
my LitRPG that I did recently under my other pen name, that one was 101K. which that was really long. That's the longest book I've ever written. But
Yeah, I had my
LitRPG.
last book 4 was 88K, but I didn't plan that. I ended up getting towards the end and realizing I had so much more story to tell, and ended up like 88K. But I was killing myself trying to get it done and in the deadline. But yeah, I'm where you are normally, Austin. I'm like around 65K, maybe average.
Yeah, it's
But
but what Deacon was saying about the 10 hours, yeah, that's a good way to go for your audio.
audio. I ended up having to. I figured that out after my 3 books, and people were bitching on audiobooks on Audible about the length, because Audible for some reason charges $20 regardless of how long your Audible is, which I find ridiculous. But I think it's tied in with their little free token thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that the token is equal to whatever. So I ended up having taken the first 3 books and making a trilogy or like a omnibus Audible. Yeah. And that was like, I don't know, 12 hours, 13 hours. So they could then do that if they wanted to. But I hear you. It's hard for me to understand Audible because I would never listen to Audible. So I like reading. So but it seems like the people that review Audibles though are a lot nicer than the ones that review Kindle.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but I know like Goodreads is like a cesspool. I don't ever go there to look at the reviews, but
Oh, dude, like I mean, like my average review I think on Amazon is maybe 4.4 or something like that. If you added all the books together, 4.4, 4.5. But on Audible, it's like 4.7 or 4.8.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on how well your narrators do.
Yeah.
Because if people like your story but they don't like your narrator, you end up with 2 different categories of star ratings, but the overall rating can look terrible.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I like he's new like me, and I did it through ACX royalty share because obviously I don't have $5,000 to pay someone to do an Audible. And if you guys haven't looked into it, look into Babel Cube too. Phoenix Gray turned me on to that. That's where she does all of her foreign language stuff because they have something very similar to ACX where you can hook up with translators that'll just take a royalty share. So I currently have book 1 going into Spanish, Greek, and German, I think. But since I never plan on writing in any of those languages, to me it's a freebie. So
Yeah, but like most of the people I know who've done translations started with going for German, and apparently German readers can absolutely eviscerate you for not using whatever particular dialect of German they're reading. And
I personally don't care because it's under like when you do it through BabbleCube, it's under their publishing. So it'll say BabbleCube, put out by BabbleCube or whatever. So all it is to me is down the road just going to be extra money I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
What I've found is Australians love LitRPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my 3rd where I get the most sales from the 3rd country. I know it's US, of course, then it's England, and then Australia, I think.
See, I'm like US, Australia, England, and some months Australian has actually gone above US, and then occasionally Canada.
You see, for me, it depends on the series.
Probably true, yeah. I mean, like my next one's gonna be sci-fi instead of fantasy, so it
All
might
I know
hit
is-
different.
All I know is
different
there's like one lone guy in Italy who always buys my books, and God bless that one guy. Because I'll end up with like one print sold to Italy every time, and it's just kind of like, I don't know who you are.
Mark, you getting kicked off is not a good thing. He's the one hosting it. Hold on a second. All right, it seems like we're still on. when I just looked at Facebook. But let me message him real quick. He did tell me beforehand because of the storm that he's having issues. So we'll just.
Yeah, I was hearing the thunder coming through his window at one point.
Yeah, he's out in the boonies in Texas, dude. So, and I think in the flatlands, so he doesn't really have anything that breaks the storm.
Yeah.
When it rolls through him. But we'll see, because I'm like right now we're still up on we're still up live on Facebook. So well, we'll try to wrap this up. First of all, movie you've seen in the last 2 years that or last year that you liked, and we'll start with Austin.
Probably what I'm going to pick, and it's because the sequel is coming out, I think, in a couple days. It's actually a Netflix movie. It's called Extraction. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Is that the one with Thor?
Yeah, Chris
Right.
Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that was good. That was good. Yeah.
That is an amazing movie if you like action and just kick ass. It is just,
And that guy is easy to like though too, man. I mean, especially in those kind of roles.
yeah, he's got a lot of charisma. He's like would be like a perfect harem book main character. Yeah, he's a Chad, a Giga Chad. But and the sequel to Extraction is coming out, I think, on the 16th. But yeah, that
I didn't even know there was going to be a sequel.
Yeah, it's an amazing film, because I watched it for the second time a couple weeks ago, and I just love it even more that time. But
wait, what movie? You know what? 2 movies I've watched recently. One, I was shocked that I couldn't believe, with all the big name actors in it, how utterly trash it was. That I couldn't even. And you could tell they spent a bunch of money on it, but I like the writing was so bad, everything was bad. Called Future World, with the chick from Resident Evil. I mean, a bunch of Lucy Liu. And that was the most trashy piece of shit. And you could tell they had tons of money, and but it was just so horribly bad.
I saw that one. I remember thinking it was bad.
Yeah, and then the other one though that was really, really good, and I can't believe I missed it, was Dragon Blade with. I just watched it recently. That had John Cusack in it, Jackie Chan, and it was about way back in the Han Dynasty era, where the Silk Road, and John Cusack played a Roman soldier. And Jackie Chan played, and it had a bunch of well-known actors in it. Jackie Chan played, also had the guy that played in the piano or whatever, the lead guy. I forget his name.
Russell Crowe?
No, in the piano. What's his name? He won an Academy Award for it, but also a good actor. And he plays, there was a certain time in the Silk Road in China, way back in history, where there was a group that tried to enforce peace with all the different tribes. And he played the captain of that group. And so that it was a brilliant movie. Really well written, great acting, combat, all that stuff. And it was such a weird amalgam of characters. You wouldn't think Jackie Chan would be in a film with John Cusack and Adrian Brody. That's the Uh-oh.
we're back now.
Yeah. See, Mark, did you just start a whole new show? Mark.
Yes.
Did you just start a whole
my
new
internet
show?
cut out. No, my internet cut out.
Oh, well, we were still going live for some reason
show.
on Facebook.
Yeah. Caitlin was saying you broke your own rule because that movie's from 2015.
That is true, but I just saw it like a week ago.
Oh, so it counts because you just saw it.
Yeah, like I was shocked though that I never even heard of it. I just saw it it was on Amazon Prime or something like that. But who would have think though, if you're going for a movie, you wouldn't think to put John Cusack, Jackie Chan, and Adrian Brody all in one film together, because
That
those
is
are.
kind of a weird mix.
It is, but for some reason it just worked, man. It was like it was just well done. But I agree with you, Austin. That is a great movie. Extracted, is that what it?
Extracted.
Yeah, Extracted. And then what about you, Deacon? Another film?
I'm really terrible with dates. So in the last 2 years, actually, it's kind of a toss-up between. I actually really enjoyed the D&D movie, Honor Among Thieves, but
it was done better than any D&D movie by a long shot, because all the other ones were like horrible pieces of shit. But so it was really done well. You can personally, to me, I would not be shocked if I went under some of the crew and producers and saw the same people from Thor Ragnarok.
Ed Greenwood.
Because literally, like a lot of the visuals were like in the very similar.
But Ed Greenwood consulted on it, and he wrote the Forgotten Realms books, a lot of them. So
no, I grew up playing D&D, so yeah.
But no, I think probably my favorite movie that I've seen recently is I took my boys this weekend and saw Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
I did just see it. It was good.
I realized there's an Easter egg at the end that's going to confuse the hell out of anyone under.
Yeah, because they went back like before all the other movies, or no, right after the first one.
It's kind of a soft sequel to Bumblebee.
Yeah, but like kind of, I guess I'm just kind of tired of the whole semi reboot shit they've been doing.
Yeah,
because they did it with Star Trek, they did it with Star Wars, kind of, and it's like you already have a set up popular series, and then you're kind of trying to soft reboot. It's not even a full reboot, it's like a soft reboot.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to. They know they're losing out making the same thing every time, so they're trying to restart it, but they don't want to lose the fans.
Yeah, and so and then they do things like Star Trek did the whole go back in time, so it changed everything so they could then do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Or DC right now is about to do the Flash paradox, so they can like soft reboot it and kind of do whatever they want to do.
I feel like I've upset Kaylin. I do want to point out that none of the live action Transformers hold a candle to the 1984 movie. And my boys and I have exclusively talked about the fact that Michael Bay could have probably tripled his money if he just made a live action version with Stan Bush still doing the soundtrack.
Are you talking about the animated movie in 1984?
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand, Michael Bay, he's renowned for and good for blowing shit up. So that doesn't really, his whole special effect thing, that's his gig, that he's like known for.
I actually didn't mind his special effects so much. It was the focus on the humans and the weird ass dialogue. Like I don't ever need to see Shia LaBeouf and his pseudo parents.
I worked on one of those. I worked on the last Shia LaBeouf. I played an Air Force captain on the last Shia LaBeouf one he did, because when I lived in LA, so 6 years ago I moved to Texas. Before that I was in LA for 8 years, and I made my living the entire 8 years I was there as a stand-in and a background actor on film and TV.
Nice.
So I actually worked on that, and that guy is like how you see him on film in real life. Like, he talks a mile a minute, chain smokes like a motherfucker. Because I was out having a smoke once, and he was out there just pacing back and forth like blah, 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 blah. Like Shia LaBeouf is exactly how you see him on film.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
But I also, most of my favorite movies are honestly much older than 2 years.
Yeah, well, I think one of the greatest films I've ever seen, although it's not one of those ones that it's easy to rewatch because it's so fucking long and it's so involved, was Legends of the Fall.
Yes, I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that scene at the end with the dad always gets me teary-eyed, man. I'm telling you, dude, when he comes out with the big, and he's had a stroke, and he's all gimped up, and Anthony Hopkins comes out with "No, you're not taking my son!"
Yeah,
with the shotgun and stuff.
And Brad Pitt's character in that would be a perfect harem main character too, because he's like Tristan. That was the name. Yeah, he was a
Tristan, yeah.
total movie too.
His eternal battle with the bear.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah,
It was, and I think it won Oscar for best cinematography at the time. But it was just a brilliant, from writing to acting to cinematography to the way it was shot. I mean, just everything about it was good.
See, I felt that way about Glory.
Glory was good too, with Morgan Freeman and a very, very young Denzel Washington and Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think just from because I am a filmmaker, so I think from a cinematic standpoint, I would say Pan's Labyrinth was also just a brilliantly done film, mostly from the cinematography standpoint of noir lighting and making all of that just.
Well, it also captured the tone of a lot of the actual fairy myths, like the Fae mythology.
Yeah, and threw in the whole assholeness of Nazis at the same time.
Well, yeah.
But a lot of people say that his, the water one he just did recently, about 5 years ago, The Way of Water or whatever. They say he won because he won Best Director for that. And they say he actually won that because he should have gotten Best Director for Pan's Labyrinth. But he was a first-time director, or that was his first big film, well-known film. And the way Oscars work, at least back then, was no one wins Best Director that's not already a known commodity. I think it's different now, but back then, late 80s, early 90s, something like that. They were never going to give it to him. But anyway, let's get real quick. Mark, are you still there?
Yes, I am still here.
Okay. And if you did by accident actually create a new, because we would have all been immediately kicked. So we're still on the same link, right?
Yes,
it's still the same link.
It's still got the same hour 8 minutes, so it's still
okay. Yeah, because so this happened to us once before, and what ended up happening is he had to create a new show, and it was a clusterfuck. This is our 60-second episode spread over 4 years, 5 years, something like that. So
since 2018.
And anytime you deal with live internet and people in different parts of the world all trying to get on a meeting, shit can happen. But that's good though. It's still under the same thing. We'll just call it our own little cinematic travel with blinking out for a second. But anyway, so let's get on with Austin and wrap this up before we get cut off again. Austin, in the next couple of years, what is a major goal or plan or book series or you want to do?
I've got a ton of book series that I've got in my mind. I'm hoping that I think this Office Harem one has a potential of really landing, because it's
Is this like Steve Carell Office, or is this like some other? I mean, is there comedy, or is it going to be a LitRPG?
It's a slice of life, a little bit of comedy in it, but I think that one's going to do real well, and I'm going to finish out Cultivation Academy Omega, and then I'm going to switch back to my clean LitRPG pen name and do Isekai Leveling 2. And this is something Deacon can probably comment on too, but I know you were saying earlier about what we thought the future of harem is, but there's a little bit of I think it was maybe just a few days ago, Amazon appears to be cracking down on explicit content, and there's actually a lot of harem authors that are either going to or thinking about going to Fade to Black instead of explicit.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff.
Really, because I think that's a little big brotherish of them, as long as it's marked out.
Unfortunately, there's a new category system that they launched on the 1st of June. and you can now select 3 categories for your books, but there are a lot more stringent rules to it. And part of it is that, are we still live? Because JD's
Yes, we are select.
okay. You're just very still. There's a lot of new rules to it, and one of it is there's an adult content check, and you have to either click yes or no to whether your book has adult content. And part of that's because, like, if you're writing a young adult book, all 3 categories you select have to be young adult. Whereas,
well, I mean, I always, on all my books, I've always selected the has to be 12th grade or above 12th grade, which to me should cover it, because that means it has to be an adult.
There's still that option for the age range. You can go 18 plus for the minimum age.
Yeah.
The thing is, what it appears to be, and I can say this from personal experience, is that if you click yes on the adult function, on the adult content tab, you do not show up the same depending on how someone is searching for your books. It used to be that for harem, if you got slotted into an erotica category, you would no longer show up under general search functions, and you would have to petition.
Which is strange, because does that also apply to Shades of Grey? Because that's straight up soft porn.
Because those are romance. Women's romance.
Yeah, but that's like straight up porn, man.
Right, but women's romance and men's romance are not treated equally, because women's romance have quite a few huge traditional publications.
Because I remember, dude, I used to get so much shit from my mom for having some titties in some of my short films. And I remember I walked in, because she lives with my little sister and my brother-in-law. I walked in, and there's my little sister, her, and my brother-in-law's mom, all on the couch, and I'm watching a camera that is literally right on a girl's cooch. And I'm like, what the fuck are you watching? And she's like, oh, Shades of Grey, it's so good. And I'm like, oh my God, how much grief did you give me? I have never shot anything even close to what I'm looking at right now. That is like straight up soft porn.
But yeah, one of the big issues right now, though, is there is some concern that if you don't check yes to the adult content and someone reports your book for having sexually explicit materials, you may end
up... Which will happen, yeah.
Right, you might end up getting your account banned. But the issue is, if you check yes, you lose quite a bit of visibility, because apparently, from what I've been told, companies...
You can still run ads, right?
Mine did not show up. I actually checked yes for all my books on June 1st. I lost 66% of my income over the course of a week before I
went in and unclicked it.
Yeah, and I've been regaining visibility, but I lost 30,000 sales ranks for most of my books. My newest book, Nemesis, had just hit the 30-day after release, and I went from selling 30 copies a day to 2, with like 10% of the page reads over KDP. And the thing is, some people were saying that they could find things easy, and others were saying that it didn't show up no matter how they did search it. And I have sponsored ads running for both Raven House and Nemesis.
So but the only thing I do is I spend about $30 a month maybe on Amazon ads, and I do it on Australia, England, and US. But I have it under $3 a day, and I've learned the trick because I got screwed. You have to go in and change those bid numbers, dude. Yeah. They put it like on the US, they put it at like $3.50 per bid.
But I guess the issue is that some companies like Apple and Google don't want explicit material showing up on their search apps. So
which is, really, dude, because like they have a bunch of stuff that would fall in that category. Yeah. So to me, it sounds like they're cherry picking.
Well, it's probably absolutely that, but there are a lot of counterculture.
Because a lot of women's romance novels, which are some of the probably biggest selling shit they have.
Oh, absolutely.
Are definitely soft porn.
But again, it's, like for instance, anything Harlequin romance, they're covered under the umbrella of a big trading, publisher company, and Amazon is more than willing to make specific deals with different
I've noticed that because I noticed that some big not all of them, but some big publishing authors are on KDP, which I didn't quite get because they're obviously
you can
in
find their stuff at
bookstores.
Barnes and Noble. Yep. Yeah, Amazon's always kind of had its own deal for the big companies, and then for self-publishing people, there's an entirely different set of rules.
Well, that doesn't really make sense to me because Shades of Grey or 50 Shades of Grey started out as a non-published vehicle.
It actually started out as a fan fiction.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
you mean
then
she
when it
wrote it
sold
on like
60
one of those fan fiction sites?
Oh yeah, it was Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, and then they put it on Amazon, and then she didn't get picked up by a publisher until she sold 65 million copies on Amazon.
Well, yeah, but she did sell 65 million copies. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I sold 65 million copies of anything, Amazon would give me a lot more slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still very, very small pea in the pod, dude. I'm like literally, I sell maybe a book or like 4 to 7 books a day. So
right, but I mean, like, look at Shirtaloon. Like when he put up the first He Who Fights with Monsters, that thing hit #1 out of 6 million books on the Amazon store.
Is that how many books there are? I was always curious how many books.
I mean, they say
when you're seeing the rankings and you go anywhere from.
I mean, now
I've
it's
been all the way up from on US. I've been all the way up from 20,000 to like 500,000.
I mean, now it's over 6 million, but you know that's the way they advertise it. Over 6 million books, but like he hit 1. You know, like that's he got.
And that is that when publishers like traditional publishers started paying attention to LitRPG?
Oh yeah. Yeah, after He Who Fights with Monsters came out and he brought his massive Royal Road following to KDP to start reading.
Which is how, to me, all the big ones did it, like the biggest ones, besides Alaron. But all the biggest ones seem to all have done that track.
A lot of them have, yeah. Like
Primal Hunter is the same thing. He had
Defiance of
massive.
The Fall, too. Yeah.
Yeah, like all the 3 main ones, the Defiance, He Who Fights the Monsters, and Primal Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good model if you can build up the following on Royal Road.
And if you make enough money that you can sit on your books for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys got over 1,000 Patreons. So, I mean, they don't...
I think Shirley making like $30,000 a month in Patreon.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens, though, right out of the gate, dude. Maybe it was because it was a different time period, because that was like, I think Primal Hunter, you started that in like 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, like a lot of those books like were unknown on Amazon until they already had like.
Yeah, I just don't know how people do the whole Patreon thing, man. I don't get Patreon. I have one, but I don't understand how you try to get people over there off of a Royal Road out of the gate.
I mean, I don't know. A lot of people offer preview chapters.
Yeah. I know, but he was literally, I read the biography on Zogarth. He said literally a month after he started writing book 1 on Royal Road, he was already making 10 grand a month on Patreon from it. The first month.
I mean, people love his stuff.
Yeah,
I just don't understand how in the first month of his book even coming out, or I mean his writing even starting.
I don't know. If I understood it, I'd be doing it.
Yeah. Because that was how he was able to, like we were just talking about, that was how he was able to sit away from Amazon for so long. The guy was making so much money on Patreon that it was unnecessary for him to go to Amazon.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he did it so that he could get access to the audiobook people. Because I know he got snapped up by Podium really fast right after he.
Well, and a lot of the smaller publishers like Shadow Press and all Dakotas and Mountain. Yeah, all of them seem to be in that zone now where they're scouring Royal Road for their authors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is smart. I mean, if you go to the top of the list in Royal Road and you can get them to sign with you and they haven't gone to Amazon yet and they have like 10 million views, 20 million views or whatever, I mean, it's a good bet that their books are going to do well.
Well, and Tantor and Podium were doing that for a while in the harem genre. They were looking for new harem writers to get contracts for them for audiobooks.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. It'll be interesting starting that new series, because obviously I've only done one series, so to see how that works, because I'm going to try to do it a little bit differently and not as rushed, and actually go on Royal Road and have actual chapters pre-written before I start posting them. Which the first series, I was writing as I was posting. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, if you want to get like a good Patreon going on Royal Road, you really need to like be like way ahead of what you're posting so you can offer, advanced chapters.
yeah.
I mean, some
Yeah, so you like at least be 15,
like
20 chapters
20.
ahead so you can literally post that.
but you have to be, of course, right, fast. But yeah, from what I put on Scribble Hub, I'm usually just as I write.
Austin, you're kind of freezing. Mark, are you still there? Oh, wait, no, you're back.
Yes, I'm
So
sorry.
how many chapters do you think you should be ahead to do that on Royal Road?
Well, if you're wanting to do Patreon, I mean, if you're wanting to try to get a Patreon following going, I would say you probably need to be 10, 15 chapters ahead at the least. But
Well, then I'll try that because I mean, I on the new series, because I can write that in it's not going to change when I publish it. You know what I mean? On Amazon, I mean, I can just literally not put anything on Royal Road till I'm at that point.
yeah, but it's you never know what's going to click with readers.
It's true.
You may be 30 chapters ahead, but if nobody's liking your book, they're not going to care if they can get it benched.
I hear you, man. I mean, me and Mark have talked about this, dude. I literally created a TikTok of me in the middle of a mall in a sumo thong with a disco ball above my head, and I thought it was just going to take off, man, and it didn't do shit. It was shocking.
I must have missed that trend.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we talked to Austin about what you want to do in the next couple years, right? So,
Right.
Deacon, in the next couple years, what would you like to do?
My goal in the next couple years is finish out the Otherworld Academy. Keep working on the Cultivation series for Nemesis.
The sci-fi.
No. This is actually a Cultivation story. It's a reverse Dragon Rider from the point of view of the dragon.
What do you mean? The dragon's going to ride a man?
Well, a few ladies, but no. It's basically instead of having a Dragon Rider story from the point of view of the
rider, yeah.
rider, it's from the point of view of the dragon.
Isn't that? Are you talking about way back when McCaffrey?
Yeah, you remember Dragon Riders?
There's also that one newer one that was written by the 16-year-old or 17-year-old.
Aragon. No, there's actually a lot of them. It's huge in young adult literature.
I wasn't really that impressed with the kid. It seemed very simplified writing and very
he wrote
oriented towards kids. But.
He was 13, so I mean.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I tried to read. I didn't know that at the time, so I read book one because the film came out or whatever.
So I'm going to keep working on this one, which is, like I said, it's cultivation, but since the main character is a spirit beast, you're not getting as deep into the cultivation lore because animals do it differently. And so I'm going to keep working on this, finish up Otherworld Academy, and then, like I said, right now I'm working on a sci-fi tower climber.
The sci-fi one.
Yeah. And that's called Singularity Tower.
Very cool. I've been trying to get Mark to actually write LitRPG, but he won't do it.
Math is hard, man.
He put out a big
fantasy.
fantasy.
Not do it, but
he put a big fantasy novel out, and then he killed me because he was new to the genre and he paid someone thousands upon thousands of dollars to edit it, which he shouldn't have done. But
I did. I paid for an editor.
I know, but dude, you paid triple what anyone would have paid, dude. But that's right, dude. Life is about that, dude. Me as a filmmaker, me as anything, I have made bad decisions and got screwed over by idiots that took advantage of my lack of knowledge. It's just learning lessons in life. It happens with all of us, brother.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
When I first started this, I got hit by, luckily it was under $100, but I got hit by a couple of those dumbass marketers. They're like little fucking sharks.
Yeah, for a while I was trying to get a sci-fi cover done over Fiverr, and I had to get refunds from 5 separate people because they kept trying to sell me clip art of Halo armor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, luckily, my artist is from Fiverr, but he was the guy I found right out of the gate, and I had learned from the other dumbass decisions I had made. So, I made sure he was like level 2, and he had like history behind him, and he was established, and he had like shit tons of good reviews. And
well, my Otherworld Academy series, all the books have interior art, and
because there are good people on that site, but there's just also
I
a
found
lot
that
of
guy on Fiverr.
dumbasses.
Yeah.
But very cool, you guys. I don't want to keep Mark too long away from Diablo 4 because he's really been like jonesing it and stuff like that.
But I'm not on Diablo 4.
You should have seen right before you guys came on, dude. He thought I had left for a second with Lola, and I came back, and he was humping the wall saying, Diablo, Diablo.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, you guys, it's been awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. You guys, hey, anyone that's either watching this now or watching it will be watching it in the future. This is permanently up on the page site, and it's also permanently on YouTube. So you guys feel free to download it from either place and do what you want with it. Chop it up into clips, however you want, as far as your fan base. But there'll be, as I said before, and I'll say again, there'll be links to their stuff below the post in either venue. Mark at some point is also going to like backtrack and put all of them up on Spotify some way, but we're still working on that. But feel free to go support these guys. They're not only talented writers and prolific writers, but they're also really good people. So go get their books. I'm sure a bunch of them are all on KDP, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
KU, Kindle Unlimited. So at $10 a month, you have no excuse you can read as many as you want. But it's been a beautiful night. I'd like to thank Deacon and Austin for being here. And then Mark Potter, of course. Next month, he will be back visually. I know that excites people that are fans of our show. So be prepared for that. He has a new magenta summer dress that's going to be debuted. It's going to be really beautiful.
Stripes, not polka dot.
Yeah. Anyway, you've been watching Stormcrow. Dreamers talking to dreamers. As always, dream big, dream hard, and put the sweat in. Beautiful night to everybody.
All right, man. See you, Deacon.
Have a good one.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you for having me on.
No worries.